Good morning, my dear students. Once again, welcome to online teaching classes from Vishwa Manava Residential High School. I am Mahboobi, your social science teacher. My dear students, the previous class we discussed about the geography part of the second lesson, that is Indian physiography. In Indian physiography, we discussed that is general features of the landforms of India. General features of the landforms of India and physiographic divisions of India. My dear students, before going to start the today's topic, let us recall the previous class topic. My dear students, the previous class we discussed physiographic divisions of India. On the basis of the physiography, India can be broadly classified into four major divisions. One is the Northern Mountains, second one is the Northern Great Plains, the third one is the Peninsular Plateau, and the fourth one is the Coastal Plains and Islands. The previous class we already discussed the two physiographic divisions of India. One is the Northern Mountains, another one is the Northern Great Plains. My dear students, the Northern Mountains, it is also called as Youngfold Mountains. It has the prominent features like highest peaks, deep valleys, gorges, glaciers and passes. The prominent features, highest peak, deep valleys, gorges, glaciers and passes. The Himalayas consist of the three parallel ranges. One is the Greater Himalayas, second one is the Lesser Himalayas and the third one is the Shivalik Hills. First, the Greater Himalayas. The Greater Himalayas, it is also called as Himadri. In Greater Himalayas, we can see Mount Everest. Mount Everest is the highest peak in the world. And K2 or Godwin Austen. The K2, it is the highest peak in India. It is located in Jammu and Kashmir. Then the Lesser Himalayas. The Lesser Himalayas are located to the south of the Greater Himalayas. They are also called as Himachal. In the Lesser Himalayas, we can see many parallel ranges, many valleys and many hill stations. Then the Shivalik Hills. The Shivalik Hills, it is also called as Outer Himalayas. It is also called as Outer Himalayas. In Shivalik Hills, we can see dunes. They have flat bottom, structured valleys which are known as dunes. The best examples of the dunes is Dehradun. Then importance of the Himalayas and the second physiographic divisions of India, that is the Northern Great Plains. The Northern Great Plains, it is located Peninsular Plateau of India and Himalayas. Himalayas and the Peninsular Plateau of India. It is formed by the depositional work of three river system, namely the Sutlej River, the Ganga River and the Brahmaputra River. Understand? Then we can discuss that is importance of the Northern Great Plains. Now, my dear students, in today's class, we will learn about the Peninsular Plateau and the Coastal Plains. The another physiographic divisions of India, that is the Peninsular Plateau, another one is the Coastal Plains. Let's discuss Peninsular Plateau. See, that is Peninsular Plateau. Peninsular Plateau, it is the third physical feature of India. Peninsular Plateau, it is the third physical feature of India or third physical divisions of India. It is the oldest landmass. It was being a part of Gondwana land. It lies to the south of the Great Plains and occupies about 16 lakh kilometer square. My dear students, the peninsular plateau is the third physical features of India. It is the largest physical divisions of India. It is the oldest landmass and it was being a part of Gondwana land. It was being a part of Gondwana land. Gondwana land, which is very oldest one. Understand? Which is very oldest one. Then it is roughly triangular in shape. It is roughly triangular in shape. It formed by Cape Kanyakumari in the south. Understand? Then in the peninsular plateau we can see it is bounded by many hill stations like Aravali Hill Station, Vindhyas, Satpuras, Western Ghats, Eastern Ghats, Chota Nagpur Range, Deccan Plateau, Malwa Plateau, etc. My dear students, the peninsular plateau, it is bounded by many hills and peaks, namely Aravali Range. You see the map, Aravali Range, Vindhyas, Satpuras, Western Ghats, Eastern Ghats, Deccan Plateau and Chota Nagpur, etc. See, Aravali Range. Aravali Range, the oldest fold mountain, lies to the north to west. The oldest fold mountain, it lies between north to west. You can see below picture the Aravali Range. It lies between north to west side. Understand? It lies between north to west side. Guru Shikhar. It is the highest peak on the Abu Hills of Aravali Range. In the Aravali Range, we can see Guru Shikhar is the highest peak. The highest peak of Aravali Range, that is Guru Shikhar. It is 1700 to 72 meters. 1772 meters high. Understand? The next that is Vindhya Range. The Vindhya Range flakes on northern edge of the Narmada River. You can see in the map northern range of the Narmada valleys. Narmada River. The northern edge of Narmada River, that is Vindhyas Range. Then Satpura Range. The Satpura Range runs in east to west direction south of the Vindhyas. East to west direction in the Satpura Range. The Satpura Range runs in east to west direction south of the Vindhyas. In between Narmada and Tapi River. The Satpura Range, it lies between south to east to west direction. Lies to east to west direction, the Vindhyas, in between the two most important rivers, that is Narmada River and Tapi River. Understand? Then Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats. See in the map Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats. Western Ghats are west side and Eastern Ghats are east side. Let's start Western Ghats. It is very important. Ask for in your examination. Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats. What are the difference between Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats? Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats, these are very important. Understand? The Western Ghats are a continuous range running parallel to the west coast of India from the Tapi Valley to Kanyakumari. Tapi Valley to Kanyakumari. See in map Western Ghats. See Western Ghats in west side. Western Ghats are a continuous range running parallel to the west coast of India, that is called as Western Ghats. That is called as Western Ghats. Then the Western Ghats, it is also known as Sahyadris. The Western Ghats, it is also known as Sahyadris. Then they are a continuous. Keep it in mind. The Western Ghats are continuous. Western Ghats are continuous. They are very steep on the western side and gentle on the eastern side. Then south, the many hill stations like many passes of the Western Ghats like Palghat, Talghat and Barghat. South of the Palghat gap of the Western Ghats continued as the Anai Malai. Continue as the Anai Malai. The Western Ghats of the many passes like Barghat, Talghat and Palghat. Barghat, Talghat and Palghat are the important passes across the Western Ghats. Then, south of the Palghat gap, the Western Ghats continued as Anai Malai. Anai Malai, it is the hills. In the Western Ghats, we can see Anaimudi. Anaimudi, it is the highest peak in South India. Anaimudi, it is the highest peak in South India. It is 2695 meters high. Anaimudi, 2695 meters high. The next, that is Eastern Ghats. The Eastern Ghats are almost parallel to the east coast of India, that is Eastern Ghats. The Western Ghats are a continuous range running parallel to the west coast of India, that is Western Ghats, and another one is Eastern Ghats. The Eastern Ghats are run almost parallel to the east coast of India, that is Eastern Ghats. Understand? They extend from the Mahanadi Valley in the north towards Nilgiri Hills in the south. Keep it in mind, the Western Ghats, they extend from the Mahanadi Valley in the north and Nilgiri Hills in the south. They extend from north to south. The north to south we can see Mahanadi Valleys and Nilgiri Hills. Mahanadi Valleys and Nilgiri Hills in the south where they join the Western Ghats. Understand? They are lower than the Western Ghats and are not continuous. Keep it in mind. The Western Ghats are not continuous. The Eastern Ghats are continuous. Understand? Western Ghats are not continuous. Eastern Ghats are continuous. In the Western Ghats, we can see the highest peak in the Eastern Ghats, that is Armakonda. Armakonda, it is the highest peak in the Eastern Ghats. Understand? In the Western Ghats, we can see Anaimudi. Anaimudi, it is the highest peak in the Western Ghats. In the Eastern Ghats, we can see Armakonda. Understand? Then, difference between Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats. Very important, my dear students. Ask your examination. What are the difference between Eastern Ghats and Western Ghats? There are a continuous range in the Western Ghats. In the Western Ghats, we can see there are continuous range running parallel to the west coast of India from the Tapi Valley to Kanyakumari, that is Western Ghats. They are also known as Sahyadri. In the Western Ghats, it is also known as Sahyadri. In the Western Ghats, we can see Anaimudi, it is the highest peak in South India. That is the difference of the Western Ghats. The next we focus, that is Eastern Ghats. The Eastern Ghats, they are lower than the Western Ghats and are not continuous. Keep it in mind. Eastern Ghats are not continuous. Western Ghats are continuous. Western Ghats are continuous because of separating by peninsular rivers like Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri and their tributaries. So, Western Ghats are continuous. Eastern Ghats are not continuous. Eastern Ghats are not continuous. Eastern Ghats are not continuous because of separated by the peninsular rivers like Godavari, the Krishna, the Kaveri and their tributaries. So, Western Ghats are not continuous. Then, the highest peak in the Eastern Ghats is Armakonda. The highest peak in the Eastern Ghats is Armakonda. That is the difference between Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats. Understand? In the Western Ghats, we can see Anaimudi, it is the highest peak in Western Ghats, and Eastern Ghats, Armakonda, it is the highest peak in the Eastern Ghats. Western Ghats are continuous. Eastern Ghats are not continuous. Then in the Western Ghats, they extend from Tapi Valley to Kanyakumari. In the Eastern Ghats, they extend from Mahanadi Valley in the north. Understand? Mahanadi Valley in the north. In the Western Ghats, they are running parallel to the western coast. They are running parallel to the western coast. In the Eastern Ghats, they runs almost parallel to the east coast. These are the difference between Eastern Ghats and Western Ghats. Okay, my dear students. The next that is Deccan Plateau. Deccan Plateau is bounded by Satpura and the Vindhyas in the north to west. In the north to west, we can see Satpura and Vindhyas. The Deccan Plateau is bounded. The Deccan Plateau is bounded Satpura range. Satpura and the Vindhyas in the north to west. See in the map, north to west, we can see Satpura and Vindhyas. Satpura and Vindhyas in the north to west. Then Western Ghats in the west side and the Eastern Ghats are east side. Western Ghats are west side and the Eastern Ghats are east side. And then Mahadev and the Michael ranges in the north. Mahadev and the Michael ranges in the north. Then Chota Nagpur Plateau lies in the northeastern part of peninsula. Northeastern part of peninsula, that is Chota Nagpur. Chota Nagpur Plateau lies in north to east part of the peninsula. Okay, my dear students. The next that is importance of the peninsular Plateau. What is economic importance of Deccan Plateau? What is economic importance of Deccan Plateau? Why it is economically important? Why it is economically important? Okay. Peninsular Plateau is rich in minerals. It is rich in minerals. Then it has thick forest and biodiversity. It has thick forest and biodiversity. Then it influence on south to west monsoon. Keep it in mind. It influence on south to west monsoon. And it is also useful for agriculture. And it is also useful for agriculture. Then it has many birthplace rivers. The birthplaces of many rivers. For example, many birthplaces of the many rivers like Krishna, Kaveri, Godavari, etc. And then it is also useful for the generation of electricity. Keep it in mind. It is also used for generation of electricity. Then it is also used for the generation of hydroelectricity. It is also well known for hill station. The best example that is Ooty. The hill station such as Ooty. Ooty is one of the important tourist attract place. Understand? It is one of the important tourist attracting place. That is Ooty. These are the importance of Deccan Plateau. Understand? These are the importance of Deccan Plateau or Peninsular Plateau. Once again I repeat the importance of the Peninsular Plateau. That is, Peninsular Plateau is rich in minerals, thick forest and biodiversity. It has influence on southwest monsoons. It has influence on southwest monsoons. And it is covered with black soil which is used for agriculture. It is covered with black soil. Black soil it is used for agriculture. Understand? Then the Western Ghats are birthplace of many rivers of South Indian rivers. Western Ghats are birthplace of many South Indian rivers which are useful for generation of hydroelectricity. It is also well known for hill stations such as Ooty. These are the importance of Peninsular Plateau. The next we discussed, that is the coastal plains. See, that is coastal plains. The Peninsular Plateau, India, the plateau of Peninsular India is flanked by coastal plains. Flanked by coastal plains. Flanked means it is a border. Understand? Border by coastal plains on either side. Either side we can see it is the border by the coastal plains. The coastal plains, it has extend from the runoff Koch in the west to the delta of Ganga in the east. Very important. The coastal plain, it extends from the runoff Koch. Runoff Koch we can see in the west side. Understand? To the delta of the Ganga in the east side. West to east. It has extended from the west to east. Very important. Then the coastal plains can be divided into two parts. The coastal plains can be divided into two parts. That is the western coastal plain. Another one is eastern coastal plain. The coastal plain can be broadly classified into two parts. One is western coastal plain and the eastern coastal plain. Okay, my dear students, let's discuss that is Western Coastal Plain. We're going to move on. Western Coastal Plain. Western Coastal Plain, it lies between Western Ghats and the Arabian Sea. It lies between Western Ghats and the Arabian Sea. It extends from Rann of Kutch to Kanyakumari. It extends from Rann of Kutch to Kanyakumari. It is a narrow, steep and rocky. Then it can be broadly classified. The Western Coast Plain can be broadly classified into three parts. Understand? Don't be confused. The coastal plain has broadly classified into two parts. One is Western Coastal Plain. Another one is Eastern Coastal Plain. The Western Coastal Plain has broadly classified into three parts. Understand? One is the Konkan Coast, the Karnataka Coast and the Malabar Coast. Very important. Konkan Coast, Karnataka Coast and the Malabar Coast. First, Konkan Coast. Konkan Coast, which lies to the south of the Gujarat and extends from the Daman to Goa. Gujarat to Goa we can see, that is Konkan Coast. Then Karnataka Coast. The Karnataka Coast we can see Goa to Mangalore, which extends from Goa to Mangalore. Then the Malabar Coast, which extends from Mangalore to Kanyakumari. Understand? Western Coastal Plain can be broadly classified into three parts. Konkan Coast, the Karnataka Coast and the Malabar Coast. The Konkan Coast, which lies to the south of the Gujarat and extend Goa, Gujarat to Goa. Keep it in mind. Then Karnataka Coast, Goa to Mangalore. Then Malabar Coast, Mangalore to Kanyakumari. Mangalore to Kanyakumari. Then the Eastern Coastal Plain. The Eastern Coastal Plain, this extends from the North River of Subarnarekha to Kanyakumari. The Eastern Coastal Plain extends from the north of river Subarnarekha to Kanyakumari. It lies between Eastern Ghats and Bay of Bengal. Eastern Ghats and Bay of Bengal. It is border. Then the western. It is the border. Then the Western Coastal Plains. Then we can see many rivers. Many rivers of South India flow across the plain and they have formed deltas. Example, the Mahanadi, the Godavari, the Krishna, the Kaveri. These are the examples of the Eastern Coastal Plain rivers. Understand? Then, what are the difference between Eastern Coastal Plain and Western Coastal Plain? The Eastern Coastal Plain and Western Coastal Plain. The first, Western Coastal Plain. It lies between Ghats and Arabian Sea. Western Ghats and Arabian Sea. The Western Coastal Plains, it lies between Western Ghats and Arabian Sea, and the Eastern Coastal Plains, it extends from Subarnarekha River to Kanyakumari. Understand? In the west side, Western Coastal Plain, it extends from Rann of Kutch to Kanyakumari. In the Eastern Coastal Plains, it is located between Eastern Ghats and Bay of Bengal. Understand? Then it is narrow, steep and rocky. That is Western Coastal Plain. It is narrow, steep and rocky. And the Eastern Coastal Plain, many rivers across and form deltas such as Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna and Kaveri. Then it has two parts, that is Konkan, Karnataka and Malabar. Then there are some lagoons are formed in the coast. These are the difference between western coastal plain and eastern coastal plain. Then in the traditionally the eastern coastal plain is divided into two parts, that is the northern Sikor and southern part, the northern part and southern part, southern part and northern part. The southern part we can see, which is Coromandel coast, southern part which is called as Coromandel coast, and the northern part which lies to the north of river Krishna, north of river Krishna. Then what are the importance of coastal plains? Why the coastal plains are very important? The coastal plains of India provide some natural harbors, which help in carrying on foreign trades, There are Kandla, Mumbai, Morugova, Kochi, Vishakhapatnam, Kolkata, etc. Then it is very helpful for fishing and agriculture. It is very helpful for fishing, agriculture and production of salt, shipbuilding, etc. Production of salt, shipbuilding, and it is also very helpful for navigation facilities. It is also very helpful for navigation facilities. In the coastal plains, we can see it is the attract tourist. It is attract tourist. These are the importance of coastal plains. Once again I repeat, natural harbors. The coastal plains of India provide some natural harbors which help in carrying on foreign trade. Then it is very helpful in fishing and agriculture, and it is also very helpful in production of salt, shipbuilding, agriculture, fishing, and it is very helpful for navigation facilities, and it is most attractive tourist place. These are the importance of coastal plains. Okay, the last concept, that is island of India. That is island of India. Okay, my dear students, island of India, there are about 247 islands in India. Keep it in mind, very important. There are 247 islands in India. Of these, 204 are in Bay of Bengal. 204 are in Bay of Bengal and 43 are in Arabian Sea. The total island of India, that is 247 island in India. In the 247 island in India, we can see 204 are inside Bay of Bengal and 43 are in Arabian Sea. Understand? The Andaman and Nicobar Island are in the Bay of Bengal. In the 204 islands, the Bay of Bengal sites, that is Andaman and Nicobar Island. Andaman and Nicobar Island, we can see Bay of Bengal, and the Lakshadweep are in Arabian Sea and are formed by coastal plains. Understand? The islands of India, we can see there are 247 islands in India. Of these, 204 are in Bay of Bengal and 43 are in Arabian Sea. The Andaman and Nicobar Island and Lakshadweep Island. The Andaman and Nicobar Island are in Bay of Bengal and the Lakshadweep Island are in Arabian Sea. Okay, my dear students, chapter is completed. Okay, my dear students, in this chapter, Indian Physiography chapter, we will learn, that is, general features of the landforms of India, then physiographic divisions of India, important features of the physical divisions. Physiographic divisions of India, we can see the four major physiographic divisions of India, that is the Northern Mountain, the Northern Great Plains, the Peninsular Plateau, and the fourth one is the Coastal Plains and Island. The first one is the Northern Mountain, the second one is the Northern Great Plains, and the third one is the Peninsular Plateau, and the last one is the Coastal Plains and Islands. Okay, my dear students, thank you.